We're here today talking to Tim Riesterer, CMO Corporate Visions, and Tim will be heading up one of our sessions at the new Sales Enablement track at the upcoming B2C Content2Conversion Conference, May 6th through 7th. So why don't we just dive into the questions, Tim? First one is this is your second year attending C2C. What made you want to come back?
Well, last year when I attended, I had the privilege of being on a panel, the last panel of the last day, where we discussed sales enablement. So it was like just a toe in the water discussion about the sales enablement piece of content to conversion. And this year they said, you know what, that was so popular, so interesting, and so relevant, we got to put a whole track together. And so I agree with that. So it made a lot of sense that the reaction was positive, and therefore this year we're going to do it a little bit more of an expanded way.
It certainly is a topic that's getting a lot of traction lately. Your session will be part of the new sales enablement track, as I said, and it's going to discuss three essential selling conversations that must be enabled with content. What are your three conversations that are essential, and where are organizations today falling short in having those conversations?
Well, and I think that's key. Where are organizations falling short in having those conversations? Conversion, in my book, is the product of a great sales conversation, because you can do everything right in terms of building content and getting hand raisers and generating the interest in talking to a salesperson, but a salesperson has to close that with a great conversation. And there are really three great conversations depending on where the prospect or customer is at. I call them the create value conversation, the elevate value conversation, and the capture value conversation. And they occur across the buying cycle. Creating value is when a salesperson has to convince a prospect that their status quo, the way they're doing things today, is no longer safe or sustainable or tenable, and convinces the customer they have to change. They have to do something different. So a salesperson has to be able to create and articulate enough value to convince the prospect, I can't stay the same. But at some point then, budget has to be created and a business case has to be justified. Then you have to elevate that value to the senior level executive decision maker who justifies or validates that decision. So you're literally taking the value created to create an opportunity. Now you have to elevate that value to a senior level decision maker. And that's a different kind of conversation than the first. You know, they're comparable, they're adjacent, but they're very distinct in their objectives and outcomes. And then the third is, once you've got the green light, now negotiations start and challenges arise in terms of your price and your value and the size of the deal. So you have to be able to capture all that value, not let it leak out in some way. And I look at those as each adjacent but distinct conversations that have unique objectives and unique outcomes and must be mastered by salespeople if you want to convert the lead into an opportunity, the opportunity into a budgeted reality, and then close and capture that business at the end.
Great. What do you hope that attendees will take away from your presentation?
Well, that when they think about enabling a sales conversation, that they can think more purposefully about it instead of it being more accidental. Sometimes companies take their content for salespeople and they just throw it out there, or they try to bucket it by the steps in the sales cycle. I want them to have a model or a framework to think about. I need to have content that creates value to disturb and disrupt the status quo. I need to have content for the C-level executive that demonstrates business and financial impact. And I need to have content that protects my value and the deal size at the end when the negotiations get tough and distinguishes us competitively. And if they can start to get a frame around the different selling conversations so their content can align to that framework, they can improve conversion.
Great. And last question for marketing executives who may need to convince their higher-ups that conferences like this are important to attend. What would you tell them?
You know, when you're trying to gather information on the best ideas, the best practices, the best examples of anything in any industry, with all the information that's out in the marketplace, there's so many places you can go and so much time you can spend examining potentially, endless amounts of content, but also dead ends when it comes to useful content. The expectation is that when an organization puts together a conference like this, they sift through the ideas and the concepts and bring the best of the best. They bring the practitioners and the people who are doing it every day to talk about that in one place. So sort of that acute nature of all that happening at one time over just a couple days, as opposed to being diffused over a whole year and trying to make it all make sense. I think there's so much value in having that all happen at one time and being able to sort it through and be able to actually meet and interact with those who are doing it.
Well, terrific. Well, we look forward to seeing you in New York, Tim, and thank you for taking a few minutes to talk to us today.
My pleasure. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.